You know that feeling, right? That ice-cold dread that hits you when you realize the foundation of your entire life is built on quicksand, and you're standing right in the middle of it. That's exactly where I was 5 weeks ago. My name is Amelia, and for 7 years I thought I had the textbook definition of a great marriage. My husband, Noah, was everything: funny, ambitious, ridiculously good at making my favorite complicated pancake recipe, and honestly just a really solid partner. We had the cozy apartment, the 2 ridiculous cats, and the 5-year plan for a house with a yard. Everything was fine, perfect even. Until HR sent me an email by mistake. Noah had recently started working insane hours at this huge tech firm downtown. He was in product development, which meant, according to him, he was drowning in deadlines, and sprint planning never ends. He'd call me around 8:30 or 9 p.m., his voice heavy with fake exhaustion, saying, "Hey babe, just wrapping up. Another late one, sorry. I'll probably be home around midnight, don't wait up." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He'd bring home those awful microwavable dinners they kept stocked in the office kitchen and collapse into bed, smelling faintly of stale coffee and desperation. I'd kiss his forehead and tell him he was doing a great job. I was the supportive wife. That was my role. I even started setting his alarm later on Saturdays just so he could catch up on sleep. I was a saint, you guys. A complete, unsuspecting idiot saint. The accidental email landed in my personal inbox on a Tuesday morning. I work in digital marketing, mostly freelance, so I was at my kitchen table, nursing a second cup of coffee, when the subject line popped up. Urgent. Security access update, Amelia Peterson floor 14 key fob authorization. I paused. My company had no affiliation with Noah's firm. I clicked it open, totally confused, thinking it was some kind of elaborate phishing attempt. The body of the email was brief. Dear Amelia, please find attached the updated access log and associated floor plan video footage for your recent security update request. This is for training and verification purposes. Please confirm receipt. Regards, HR admin. Attached were 2 files, a PDF titled Fob Access Log Q3-2025, and a huge MOV file, simply called Floor 14-09162025-2100.mov. September 16th. That was last Monday. 2100 hours. That was 9 p.m. The exact time Noah had called me, sounding absolutely wrecked, telling me he was working late. I figured someone in HR, maybe someone new, had gotten my email address confused with an Amelia Peterson at the firm, or maybe they just completely messed up the internal database merge. I was about to hit reply all with "wrong person, thanks," when a morbid curiosity snagged my thumb. It was 9 a.m. I had nothing urgent to do. What was the harm in checking? I'd seen the inside of Noah's office building maybe twice, and their security footage seemed fascinatingly high-res. I downloaded the video file. It took forever, which was my first warning sign, like the universe was begging me to stop and go back to my perfect, blissful ignorance. But I didn't. I clicked play. The video was a static shot of a wide, brightly lit hallway on what I knew to be Noah's floor. Floor 14. You could see the rows of sleek, glass-fronted offices. The timestamp in the corner was clear. 21 hours. The floor was mostly empty, just a few cleaning carts down the hall. For about a minute nothing happened. Then a figure appeared from around the corner by the break room. It was Noah. My Noah. Wearing the gray blazer I'd bought him for his birthday. My heart did a little nervous flutter. Oh, this is where he calls me, I thought. He was holding 2 large coffee mugs, not the paper ones from the break room, but actual ceramic mugs. He looked relaxed, not stressed at all. He had a slight smile on his face, a relaxed, easy smile that I hadn't seen on him in weeks. Then a door opened. A closed office about halfway down the hall. A woman stepped out. Her back was to the camera initially, but she had this really distinctive, long, fiery red ponytail. Noah walked right up to her, still smiling, and handed her one of the ceramic mugs. She turned slightly, and my world shattered. I knew that woman. Her name was Chloe. She was Noah's team lead, the one he always said was a total tyrant, and the reason for my premature graying. Chloe didn't look like a tyrant in that moment. She took the mug and she didn't just stand there. She reached out, put a hand on Noah's chest and pulled him into a quiet corner right by the glass office window. They talked, their heads close together. They were laughing. The tension in Noah's shoulders that I had convinced myself was stress was gone. It was replaced by a kind of playful ease. And then the final, undeniable, stomach-churning betrayal. Chloe gently touched Noah's cheek. He leaned in, kissed her hand, and then she pulled him inside the office, quickly shutting the door behind them. The timestamp read 21 hours 3 minutes and 17 seconds. At 9:04 p.m. that night, Noah had texted me, just about to jump on a major call. Going to be a brutal night. Love you. I sat there staring at the frozen image of that closed office door. My coffee went cold. The beautiful sunny Tuesday morning turned into a cold, dark, silent void. It wasn't just that he was cheating. It was the careful, layered lie, the fake exhaustion, the late night calls, the entire performance designed to make me feel sorry for him while he was doing this. The accidental email, the specific time, the specific people. It was all so precise, so undeniable. I rewinded the clip. I watched it 5 times. 6. Each time I searched for another explanation, a friendly meeting, an emergency coaching session, anything. But the mugs, the hand on chest, the private office, the closed door. They told the real story. And here's where the story takes a turn, something you won't see coming. I didn't confront him. I didn't call him crying. I didn't text him the video and demand an explanation. I didn't even yell at the cats. I just felt this deep, freezing calm descend over me. It was the calm before the storm, the clarity that comes when you realize the person you love is fundamentally a stranger. I knew instantly that a messy, emotional confrontation was exactly what he expected. And he didn't deserve an easy way out. He deserved a show. He deserved to realize that the person he was betraying was smarter, colder, and more patient than he could ever imagine. I saved the email, the PDF access log, and the video file into a hidden folder on my encrypted external drive. Then I deleted the email from my inbox and my trash folder. I took a deep breath and I realized I had to become someone else for a while. I had to become the supportive, innocent wife who had absolutely no idea. I had to make a plan. I want to know where you guys watching this right now. Drop a comment below with your city, country, and the time because I need to know someone out there is listening to this madness. I felt so alone in that moment, but knowing there's a community watching this revenge unfold makes me feel less crazy. So tell me, where are you? The game was officially on. But before I could execute my plan, I needed to go back and figure out how we even got here. How did the perfect, pancake-making husband become a liar who used HR access mishaps to get caught? Okay, so let's rewind a bit. We need to set the stage for how deep this betrayal cut because it wasn't just a physical cheat. It was a total demolition of the life we had built. Remember that feeling of dread I mentioned? It's because the foundation was solid, or so I thought. Noah and I met 8 years ago at a really cliché, terrible corporate retreat. I was there as a contract copywriter and he was fresh out of business school trying to network his way up the ladder. We clicked immediately. Our first real date wasn't dinner or drinks. It was trying to build IKEA furniture together. You know, the true test of a relationship. We spent 3 hours arguing about a confusing instruction diagram involving a cam lock and a dowel, and we ended up laughing so hard we cried, sitting on the unfinished chest of drawers and ordering pizza. That's how we were. Solid, silly, and always a team, even when faced with the existential threat of flat-pack furniture. We got married 3 years later. Nothing fancy. Just a courthouse wedding followed by a huge barbecue in our backyard with all our friends and family. I remember my dad pulling me aside and saying, "Amelia, he looks at you the way I looked at your mother when we were first dating. Hold on to that." And for years I did. I held on to the way he'd leave me little post-it notes on my laptop screen saying, "You got this," and the way he'd remember to buy the specific brand of oat milk I liked, even if it was tucked away on the highest shelf at the store. Those small things, those little acts of service were what defined our relationship. He wasn't just a husband, he was my best friend, my confidant, the person I shared my weirdest internal monologues with. Our life was routine and in the best way possible. Saturday mornings were for his famous blueberry pancakes and listening to old vinyl. Sunday afternoons were for tackling small, ridiculous home projects. We both worked hard, but we valued our downtime together. When his job got demanding, I was his biggest cheerleader. When my freelance work dried up for a month, he was the one who kept telling me I was talented and just needed to keep pitching. We were balanced. We were a unit. Then came the new job at that big tech firm about a year ago. It was a massive step up for him. More money, better title, all the things he had worked for. At first it was exciting. He'd come home energized, talking about the disruptive potential of his new project, which honestly sounded like gibberish to me, but I loved seeing him passionate. He started spending more time there, sure, but that's normal in a new high-pressure role. He'd be in the office until 7 o'clock or 8 p.m., but he was home for dinner, smelling like that ridiculously expensive cologne I'd bought him. The change was gradual, subtle, like a slowly leaking tire. Started maybe 6 months ago. The 7 o'clock PMs became 8 o'clock PMs, then 9 o'clock PMs. The calls started, those famous fake exhaustion calls. "Babe, I'm stuck," he'd sigh into the phone. "This deployment is failing. I might be here until midnight." I remember asking him one day, genuinely concerned, "Noah, are you okay? Are they running you ragged?" He pulled me into a hug, that big warm hug that used to fix everything. "I'm fine, honey," he whispered into my hair. "It's just crunch time. This is my chance to prove myself. I'm doing this for our future, you know? For the house with the yard." And I melted. That's how good he was. He used our shared dream, the house with the yard, as a shield for his lies. He weaponized our future against me. The late nights became so frequent that I started operating in a single-person routine. I'd eat dinner alone, watch a movie, and be asleep by the time he crept into bed. We were sharing a bed, sharing a home, but we were miles apart, and I hadn't even noticed. I had mistaken his absence for ambition. Looking back now, after seeing that video, the details stand out like neon signs. His phone habits changed. He used to leave his phone lying face up on the counter. Suddenly it was always face down. He said it was because of client confidentiality and avoiding distractions. That ridiculously expensive cologne I bought him? He started spraying more of it, a lot more, right before he left for work. At first I thought he just really liked it. Now I know he was trying to mask the scent of someone else's perfume, or maybe just the stale air of a closed office. Another detail that sticks in my throat: the laundry. He started doing his own laundry, specifically his work shirts. He tossed them right into the machine before I even got to the hamper. I remember telling him, "Noah, you don't have to do that. I enjoy taking care of the house." He just shrugged and said, "It's no big deal, Amelia. Just trying to help out." What he was actually doing, I realize now, was sanitizing the evidence. He was making sure I didn't find a trace of a stray red hair or a faint flowery scent on his collar. The woman in the video, Chloe, the team lead, I knew her name vaguely because Noah complained about her so much. "She's a terror," he'd say. "Demanding, impossible to please, makes everyone stay late." He built her up as this horrible, tyrannical figure, the villain responsible for his long hours. And there she was 5 nights ago, standing in the doorway of her office, looking playful, intimate, and sharing a ceramic mug of something I assume wasn't coffee. Noah didn't hate her, he was obsessed with her. The complaints were just a performance, a careful redirection of suspicion. This realization wasn't just painful, it was humiliating. He hadn't just cheated on me, he had actively used my empathy against me. He saw my supportiveness, my kindness, my belief in him, and he exploited every single bit of it to cover his tracks. The image of us laughing over the IKEA instructions felt like a lifetime ago. The post-it notes, the oat milk, they all felt like props in a meticulously crafted stage play, and I was just the audience member who paid the most expensive ticket, which was my 7 years of devotion. So, on that Tuesday morning, after deleting the email and tucking the video away, I didn't have a plan yet. I just had the icy, burning truth, the knowledge that the man sleeping in my bed was a highly organized liar, and a deep, unshakable need for justice. I wasn't going to let him just apologize his way out of this. I wasn't going to have a screaming match where he got to play the victim of his own temptations. I needed him to face the total, comprehensive fallout of his actions, and I needed to do it my way, slowly, methodically, and without him ever seeing it coming. He wanted a show. I was going to give him a full-scale Broadway production with a twist ending. The first step was research. I needed to know everything about Chloe. I needed to know what I was up against, and more importantly, what he valued enough to risk our entire life. That was the setup. The conflict was about to get very layered. My initial shock quickly curdled into a cold, hard focus. I was operating purely on adrenaline and a terrifying clarity. I was no longer Amelia, the supportive wife. I was Amelia, the investigator, the architect of a coming storm. The layered conflict section of this story isn't about me confronting Noah. It's about me confronting the truth of his betrayal, and in doing so creating a perfect, inescapable trap. The primary conflict was obvious. Noah was cheating with Chloe. But the layered conflict, the thing that made my blood run cold, was realizing that his infidelity was deeply intertwined with his professional ambition. Remember how he said he was doing this for the house with the yard? I realized that Chloe wasn't just a fling. She was his team lead, his gatekeeper to promotion, and potentially his key to financial success at that firm. If I blew this up immediately, I might damage his career, yes, but he could spin the narrative, blame me for being unsupportive during his crucial career development, or worse, make the affair look like a momentary lapse, easily forgivable once the immediate fallout was gone. I needed the damage to be permanent, both personally and professionally. I needed him to lose everything he was trying to gain by lying to me. My secondary challenge was maintaining the facade. Noah was a master liar, but I realized that if I acted suspicious, he would become hyper-aware and start deleting evidence. I had to be perfect. When Noah came home that Tuesday night, hours after I had watched the security footage, I was sitting on the couch, pretending to read a novel with the TV volume low. "Hey babe," he said, sounding genuinely worn out this time, or maybe just worried. "Rough night." The deployment totally bombed. I stood up, gave him a small, chaste kiss on the cheek. The first time I had to physically restrain myself from slapping him. "Oh honey, I'm so sorry. You must be exhausted. Did you eat?" "Yeah, they had lukewarm pizza. I just need to crash." I didn't press him. I simply said, "Okay, well, I set the alarm a little later for you tomorrow. Get some rest. You're working so hard." That sentence, "you're working so hard," was laced with venom he couldn't hear. He actually sagged with relief. The performance worked. He bought it. He thought I was still his clueless, supportive Amelia. He didn't realize I now had the receipts literally in an encrypted file. The next few days were excruciating. I became an expert at faking normalcy. I made his favorite meals. I listened to his fabricated stories about brutal meetings and Chloe being demanding. Every detail he gave me was a thread in the web of lies, and I was silently weaving those threads into a noose. My first investigative step was digging into Chloe. A simple LinkedIn search was illuminating. Chloe Marie Jansen. Mid-30s. Highly successful, extremely ambitious, single, and apparently about to be promoted to director, which would make her Noah's direct boss, not just his team lead. They were tangled up professionally, which added a thick layer of complication. If I exposed the affair, it could potentially be seen as workplace misconduct that jeopardized her massive promotion, which meant her entire career, and I was okay with that. I needed physical evidence, something concrete besides the grainy security footage. I started paying close attention to Noah's movements. Since he was doing his own laundry, I had to get creative. One morning, I accidentally spilled coffee on his favorite work hoodie as he was running out the door. "Oh my gosh, Noah, I am so sorry. I'm a mess this morning. I'll run it through the wash right now." He paused, slightly irritated, but couldn't argue. "Fine, just make sure you use cold water, it's brand new." Later that day, when his phone was on the charger and he was out of the house, I carefully checked the contents of the hoodie pockets before I washed it. Nothing immediately useful, just some loose change and a few crumpled receipts. But wait. One receipt was from a high-end, extremely expensive jewelry boutique, dated 2 weeks ago. The amount was almost $2,000. It wasn't my birthday. It wasn't our anniversary. He hadn't bought me anything new recently. My breath caught. $2,000 for jewelry for Chloe. I photographed the receipt, then tossed the hoodie in the wash. This wasn't just a fling. This was an investment. This deepened the conflict. It wasn't just a betrayal of my heart, but a betrayal of our shared financial goals. He was spending our money earmarked for that house with the yard, on his mistress. The moral dilemma shifted from, should I forgive him? To how far should I go to dismantle this deceitful life he's built? The moral stakes were raised again the following weekend. Noah announced very casually, "Hey, my entire team has to go to this mandatory weekend corporate seminar, all day Saturday. It's a huge networking opportunity." He was so smooth, so convincing. "It's going to be brutal, but I have to impress Chloe and the director." I knew instantly he was lying. A whole Saturday. An easy, uninterrupted day for them. I checked his company's public-facing calendar. No seminar. Nothing. This was the perfect opportunity. I needed a witness, someone who could confirm my fears without being directly involved. I called my best friend Sarah. I didn't tell her about the video or the receipt. I just used the secondary challenge, my mounting suspicion, to get her involved. "Sarah, I said, trying to keep my voice light. I have this horrible feeling Noah is being completely overworked. He says he's at a mandatory all-day seminar downtown on Saturday. Can you do me a favor? Just drive by the convention center listed on their site around lunchtime and see if you see his car? Just tell me if he's there or not. I just want confirmation he's working. Sarah, bless her loyal heart, agreed immediately. Of course I will. I'll text you. Saturday arrived. Noah left the house at 7:30 a.m., dressed immaculately, smelling like a whole can of that expensive cologne. He kissed me goodbye, told me to enjoy my day off, and whispered, "I love you." The irony was a physical weight on my chest. At 1 p.m. my phone buzzed. It was a text from Sarah. "Amelia, sorry, his car isn't here. Checked both lots. Not a single car from his department either. Maybe they're carpooling. No big deal, thanks." I replied instantly, pretending it was fine. But I knew. He hadn't just skipped the seminar. He had skipped the entire town. I checked the calendar again. Oh wait. Their company was hosting a small internal team bonding retreat out of the city this specific weekend. I had missed it because it was on an internal-facing company page I had to dig for. This wasn't just a late night in an office. This was a whole weekend getaway. The layered conflict was complete. It wasn't just an affair. It was an affair fueled by financial deceit and professional gain, now involving a weekend of lies. I had the security footage, the $2,000 jewelry receipt, and confirmation he lied about his whereabouts for an entire weekend. The tension was coiled tight inside me. The time for observation was over. I had all the pieces I needed to build my elaborate, patient, and thoroughly devastating revenge plan. The turning point arrived the moment I realized I wasn't going to simply expose him. I was going to ruin the professional life he was risking our marriage for. This wasn't just about making him hurt. This was about justice in the cruelest, most precise way possible, by taking away his ambition, his pride, and his precious advancement opportunity with Chloe. The first phase of the plan required me to become completely indispensable to him emotionally while simultaneously undermining his trust in Chloe. I had weeks of evidence, but I needed the perfect stage. The major plot shift happened the following week. Noah came home on Monday absolutely miserable. "Babe, I messed up," he groaned, sinking onto the couch. "That presentation for the director on the Q4 roadmap? It's Friday. I'm responsible for the entire data analysis section, and I think I corrupted the core file. Chloe is going to kill me." This was the opening I had been waiting for. This presentation was the key to their entire project, and potentially Chloe's promotion. It was high-stakes drama right in my lap. "Oh Noah, that's terrible," I exclaimed, my voice dripping with concern. "Can you recover it? What exactly did you lose?" He explained the complex software they used and the specific spreadsheet that contained all the projected sales metrics, the heart of the presentation. He said he had worked on it until 3 a.m. the night before, and then somehow the file either failed to sync or he accidentally deleted the master version. "I have a backup," he mumbled, "but it's a version from last Tuesday before I spent 30 hours refining the models. I'm dead, Amelia. Absolutely dead. Chloe is going to throw me under the bus." This was my moment. This was the point where I made him completely reliant on me, the innocent wife, while subtly creating the means to destroy his affair. "Honey," I said gently, sitting beside him and rubbing his back, "you know I do a lot of data modeling for my freelance clients, right? Maybe I can help you rebuild it. Show me the old file. We can work together tonight. We're a team, remember?" His eyes lit up with relief mixed with surprise. "Are you serious? Amelia, you would save my life." For the next 4 nights I threw myself into his work. I spent hours rebuilding the sales model, using my own sophisticated spreadsheet tools and data visualization skills, which frankly were far superior to his, as he was only good at the creative side of the product. While I was knee-deep in complex algorithms and pivot tables, I had access to his entire work network on his personal laptop, which he foolishly never logged out of. Phase 1. Sowing the seeds of doubt. While rebuilding the data, I meticulously and subtly changed one specific crucial metric: the projected cost savings analysis for their new product. It was a detail so specific that only Chloe, the team lead, would immediately spot the error, and only someone who knew the original file intimately could have inserted it. I didn't make the number ridiculously wrong, just wrong enough to undermine the entire conclusion of the presentation. It looked like a catastrophic high-level error that suggested incompetence or poor review. I saved the final, perfectly polished, yet fatally flawed, presentation. Noah, exhausted and trusting, reviewed the slides I rebuilt, declared them perfect, and thanked me profusely, crediting me entirely for saving his career. He looked at me with genuine love and gratitude. The irony was so thick I could barely breathe. Phase 2. Securing the leverage. During one of these late nights I was searching his desktop for an old graph template, when I stumbled across his secure file folder for HR documents. He had the complete official performance review documents for his entire team, including Chloe's recent review and the specific justification for her upcoming director promotion. The documents detailed her expected professional behavior, ethical standards, and a strict no fraternization clause with subordinates, especially during critical promotion cycles. This was the silver bullet. I copied the relevant HR policy pages, specifically the conduct and ethics clauses, onto my external drive, right next to the security footage and the jewelry receipt. Phase 3. The rising drama. The day of the presentation Friday I was the picture of the supportive wife. I made him coffee, ironed his best shirt and sent him off with a bright, "Knock him dead, honey. I know you'll crush it." I spent the rest of the day waiting, the tension a tight knot in my stomach. Around 2 p.m. my phone buzzed with an urgent text from Noah. F********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** asterisk. The text read. The meeting was a disaster. The director was furious. The cost analysis numbers are completely off. They said it throws the entire project into question. Chloe is blaming me. I feigned shock via text. Oh my God, Noah. How could that happen? Did you save the right version? I don't know, he replied. I thought you saved it. Chloe is acting like a psychopath. She literally just yelled, "You just cost me the director role, you idiot." She's making me look like the incompetent one. And here was the beauty of the trap. He trusted my work implicitly. The error was so deep in the data model that he couldn't trace it back to a simple mistake. It looked like a fundamental failure of the analysis, which he had just told everyone I helped him with. But he was too panicked to think rationally. All he saw was Chloe, the tyrant he had described, turning on him. He arrived home at 8 p.m. enraged and heartbroken. "She's an animal, Amelia," he ranted, throwing his jacket onto the floor. "She's throwing me under the bus. After all the late nights we pulled together, she blamed me. I'm probably going to get a serious warning. She's not even talking to me." "Oh, Noah," I sighed, pulling him into a hug. I squeezed him tight. "She sounds absolutely awful. You were right all along, she's a tyrant. You saved her project and she stabs you in the back. That is not the definition of a partner." I emphasized the word partner. I let the seeds of mistrust fully bloom. He was so consumed by professional betrayal and fear of losing his job that he was blind to the personal betrayal I had already witnessed. He was utterly convinced that his tyrant boss, Chloe, had just betrayed him professionally, not realizing that I, his beloved wife, had set the whole thing up. He didn't see that Chloe was panicking because her promotion was gone due to his supposed incompetence, which was my handiwork. He was now dependent on my emotional support, completely distrustful of his mistress, and utterly oblivious to the fact that I held all the evidence of his personal and professional downfall. The stage was now perfectly set for the final, devastating act. The immediate fallout from the flawed presentation was everything I had hoped for. Noah was spiraling. He was convinced Chloe was actively trying to sabotage him further to save her own skin, having blamed him publicly for the data blunder. The relationship between the cheating partners was rapidly disintegrating, fueled by professional panic. My job was to fan those flames and ensure the final explosion was visible to everyone. The grand deception was about timing and location. I needed to execute the final steps where the maximum number of people could witness the consequences of his ambition and deceit. The annual company awards gala was coming up, a huge black tie event where the director and all the senior staff would be present, and it was the traditional venue for announcing major promotions, including Chloe's previously assumed director role. Noah and I were expected to attend. The supportive wife always goes. This was my stage. Over the next week, I continued to play the role of the devoted, supportive spouse. I spent hours listening to Noah lament about the injustice of Chloe's behavior. I even subtly suggested, Maybe she's just stressed, Noah. You know how important that promotion is to her. It's terrible she's taking it out on you, but maybe she just needs to know you're still on her side professionally. I was deliberately nudging him back toward her, ensuring he wouldn't completely cut ties before the gala. He needed to be physically near her for the final scene. Meanwhile, I initiated Phase 4, the anonymous leak. I created a burner email account and drafted a careful, anonymous message. I attached the relevant HR conduct policy regarding fraternization between managers and subordinates during the promotion evaluation period, the document I had copied from Noah's laptop. The recipient list was small but potent. The director of HR, the CEO's executive assistant, and the director who oversaw Noah and Chloe's department. The body of the email was brief and clinical. Attached, you will find policy documentation relevant to ongoing promotion evaluations within the product development team. You may want to review floor security footage on floor 14 between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. on the following dates. I listed the date from the accidental video, and 2 other dates I knew Noah had lied about working late. I didn't mention the affair. I didn't mention Noah or Chloe by name. I simply provided the tools and the roadmap for them to discover the gross breach of company policy and professional ethics. It was a ticking time bomb. I knew corporate investigations, once started, move fast and meticulously, especially when a high-level promotion is on the line. The HR department would pull that footage, verify the policy violation, and the scandal would be entirely theirs to manage. The night of the gala arrived. I helped Noah tie his bow tie. He looked handsome and nervous. I hope this isn't awkward, he muttered. I haven't talked to Chloe since the meeting, except for necessary work texts. Just smile, look professional, and ignore her, I advised, slipping into my own gown. You've got this. When we arrived at the venue, the atmosphere was already buzzing with professional tension, even before my bomb went off. I scanned the room and spotted Chloe across the ballroom. She looked stressed, clinging to a glass of champagne, and was avoiding eye contact with any senior staff. My anonymous email had clearly landed and HR was already doing its work. Noah and I made our rounds, acting like the perfect couple. I smiled, complimented people on their outfits, and let Noah dominate the small talk about moving past the Q4 analysis hurdle. Then around 8:30 p.m., the CEO took the stage to announce the major promotions. The tension in the room was palpable. He announced a few lower-level promotions and then came the big one. And finally, the CEO said, pausing for dramatic effect, for the role of Director of Strategic Products, we have selected. Everyone, especially Chloe, leaned in. My heart was pounding, but my face was fixed in a supportive smile for Noah. Mr. Ethan Miller. A collective gasp rippled through Chloe's immediate circle. Not only was it not Chloe, but Ethan Miller was a mid-level manager from a completely different department. A clear sign that something had gone catastrophically wrong with the product development team's leadership. Chloe's face drained of color. She looked utterly devastated and simultaneously furious. She had lost the promotion and she knew exactly why. The professional setback from the presentation, my sabotage, and now almost certainly the HR investigation prompted by my anonymous email. This was my cue. Noah, oblivious to the bigger picture, looked relieved it wasn't him getting fired, but was utterly confused as to why Chloe had failed. I gently took Noah's arm and steered him toward a secluded area near the coat check. Amelia, what's going on? He whispered. Why wasn't it Chloe? Did they know about the data error? I turned, my smile finally dropping. My expression was one of cold, absolute finality. The data error was just the beginning, Noah, I said, my voice barely a whisper. You said we were a team. You said you were doing this for our future. You lied. He blinked. What are you talking about? I saved the presentation. I told you I was Dash. I cut him off, reaching into my small clutch purse. I pulled out my phone and accessed the encrypted file. I didn't need to show him the video. The sight of the folder icon was enough. I know where you were last Monday night at 9:03 p.m., Noah. I know you weren't stuck in a deployment emergency. I know you weren't fighting with the tyrant, Chloe. And I know you lied about the seminar, the late nights, and the $2,000 diamond pendant you bought her with money that was supposed to go toward our house. His face went through 4 stages of horror. Confusion, denial, dawning realization, and finally total blinding panic. How, Amelia, that was. The security footage was emailed to me by mistake, Noah. I finished for him, my voice flat. HR sent it to the wrong Amelia Peterson when updating my access. You should really tell them to double-check their address lists. He stumbled back, leaning against the wall, his perfect bow tie suddenly askew. He looked less like an ambitious executive and more like a cornered little boy. Amelia, please. I was going to tell you, he stammered, the usual torrent of excuses already forming. It was a mistake, it was just the stress of the job, it didn't mean anything. It meant everything, Noah, I interrupted, utterly unmoved. It meant 7 years of my devotion were worth less than a moment in a closed office with a woman who just betrayed you professionally. You risked our life for a promotion that you just watched go to Ethan Miller, who, by the way, has a spotless HR file. Unlike Chloe and unlike you if they dig far enough. I didn't wait for his response. I had delivered the evidence, exposed his professional ambition as the root of his personal deceit, and orchestrated the professional consequence right in front of him. The confrontation was public, even if the conversation was private. He was exposed and alone. I turned on my heel and walked straight out of the gala, leaving him leaning against the wall of the most important professional night of his life, with the full realization that the supportive wife he betrayed had been pulling the strings all along. Leaving the gala felt like stepping out of a suffocating bubble and finally taking a deep, cold breath. The twist and resolution wasn't just about me walking out. It was about the aftermath, the final, undeniable consequences that stripped Noah of everything he had tried to gain through his lies. I didn't go home. I took a cab straight to Sarah's place. She was shocked when I walked in wearing a ball gown, tear-free, but holding an ironclad confidence that was totally new. I told her everything, the email, the video, the data sabotage, the HR leak. She sat there, jaw practically on the floor, and then slowly she smiled. Amelia, she said, you are terrifying. And magnificent. Noah showed up at Sarah's apartment at 3 a.m. Sarah, being the best friend, handled the door. He was frantic, his voice laced with the kind of desperation that only comes when ambition and comfort are simultaneously threatened. Where is she? I need to talk to Amelia. This is a misunderstanding, he pleaded. Sarah stood firm. She's safe, Noah. And there's nothing to talk about. She knows everything. You need to leave. He tried to argue, claiming it was just a few times, that he still loved me, that Chloe was the aggressor. The usual trash. But Sarah shut the door firmly and I listened from the next room, completely detached. He was losing his emotional leverage, the victim card he always played. The formal resolution began the next morning. I had prepared the divorce papers 2 weeks before the gala, working with a lawyer discreetly, using the jewelry receipt and the security footage as the initial evidence of financial malfeasance and emotional distress. I served him with the papers on Sunday afternoon, delivered by a messenger at our apartment while I was safely at Sarah's. His reaction, predictably, was an explosion of anger, followed quickly by pleading texts and calls. He threatened to fight the divorce, to take the cats, to ruin my reputation. I simply forwarded his threats and the evidence files to my lawyer. The true twist, however, unfolded at his office the following week. My anonymous leak had triggered a massive internal investigation, exactly as planned. HR had pulled the security footage for all the dates I provided. They saw Noah and Chloe not just in the closed office, but engaging in prolonged, inappropriate conduct. The affair was exposed not as a personal issue, but as a severe breach of the no fraternization policy, especially given Chloe's seniority and the high-stakes promotion cycle. The data error in the Q4 presentation, which had already cost Chloe the director role, now looked like potential professional negligence compounded by an ethical violation that compromised the entire product's integrity. The consequence was swift and brutal. Chloe was immediately terminated for gross professional misconduct and misuse of company time and property. Noah, though the subordinate, was given a formal written reprimand that was effectively career-ending at that firm. He wasn't fired, but his reputation was permanently tarnished. He was demoted, his salary was cut, and he was reassigned to a dead-end project in a different building. Everything he had lied to me for, the ambition, the prestige, the promotion potential, was wiped out, replaced by shame and failure. He called me, screaming, blaming me for ruining his life. You did this, Amelia. You sabotaged my work. You sent that email. I didn't deny it. I only gave them the facts, Noah, I said calmly. The affair was real. The money you spent on Chloe was real. The lies you told me were real. I simply presented the truth to the people who needed to see it professionally. You ruined your own life when you decided your ambition and your lies were more important than our commitment. That was the last time I spoke to him directly. The divorce itself was straightforward. Given the irrefutable evidence of his financial misuse, the $2,000 receipt, and emotional cruelty, I secured a very favorable settlement. I kept the apartment and yes, I kept both ridiculous cats. He moved out quickly, taking his demoted job and his ruined reputation with him. He was completely alone. He lost his wife, his best friend, his apartment, and his golden career path, all within a month. The resolution for me wasn't about fireworks or a grand public spectacle, though the gala walkout was pretty satisfying. It was about emotional closure and a new beginning. It took months to truly process the grief, not for the man he became but for the man I thought he was. I had to mourn the life we had planned, the house with the yard that would never be ours. But the lasting impression, the thought-provoking lingering question, is this. What does it take to turn a deeply supportive, loving partner into a cold, calculated architect of revenge? The answer is simple. Complete, comprehensive betrayal. I didn't choose to be vengeful. I chose to survive a lie that could have swallowed me whole. I realized I had resources, intelligence, and patience that he never saw because he underestimated me. Now, 6 months later, I've rebranded my freelance work, moved my office into a sunnier part of the apartment, and I'm dating casually, nothing serious. I have the cats, the peace, and the absolute certainty that I will never mistake a partner's absence for their ambition again. I am Amelia and I got my revenge, not in a fit of rage but with cold, calculated precision that hit him exactly where it hurt the most. So that's my story. If you've ever felt that icy knot of betrayal, or if you just love watching a well-deserved revenge plot unfold, smash that like button. Seriously, like and subscribe if you think I handled this the right way. And let me know in the comments, was my revenge too cold, or was it the exact justice Noah deserved?